good, right? And to discuss that, we bring in ESPN analyst Trevor Matich on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Trevor, have you ever been to Hawaii? And if so, what advice do you have for us?
I've been to Hawaii many times, and my advice is wear sunscreen.
Amen to that.
Yeah, they were in our conference when I played at BYU, so we went there twice. And the funny thing was that you'd always have some hotshot sophomore or freshman that would go out to the beach. Now they're leaving the snows of Provo, Utah. They go to the beach in Hawaii, and they figure they're only going to be out there for 15, 20 minutes. And so they don't need sunscreen. So they feel pretty good. They don't feel it's all right. So they stay a little longer and a little longer, and they don't feel like they're burning. But what's really happening is that pasty skin that has been bundled underneath sweatshirts and parkas all winter long now is cooking, and you don't know it. And we had guys, young guys, in the locker room before the game in excruciating pain, having trainers and equipment managers pull their shoulder pads and jerseys onto their body, scraping over the sunburn. Oh. And the older guys said, we told you. We told you.
Let's talk about the big news now is after the game, players had shirts that said, I don't know if they were given the shirts or whatever, but it said, extend Kalani. Then a video came out in the locker room from Neil Powell, who's redshirting this year, wide receiver, of Tom Homo revealing under his jacket an extend Kalani shirt, hugging Kalani, and the team going crazy. What's your opinion of what appears to be probably an extension for Kalani Sitake at some point?
Well, if it does happen, I think it is fully appropriate. I think Kalani Sitake is the perfect coach for BYU at this time and going forward. And I think that he's got a chance to be there for 20 years and to make a career similar to Lavelle. Now, I wouldn't put on him the pressure of succeeding at a national level the way Lavelle did. He may, it may not be quite that. The college football world is different today. But from a standpoint of the right combination of qualities to be a BYU head coach that will succeed in football, that will lead men, and that will represent the university and the church the way they want it to be, I can't think of anybody better than Kalani Sitake.
Trevor Matich with us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's discuss BYU's fourth consecutive win now, a 42-10 triumph over Idaho State. In your opinion, Trevor, did BYU in any way, shape, or fashion sleep on Idaho State?
Well, you don't want to sleep on Idaho State. We've established that for the last several years. I think BYU lost a little bit of focus because it was Idaho State, and they saw on tape that this is an FCS team that came in 3-7, and they'd been getting just blistered by teams in their own division or their own subdivision, the FCS. And so I think maybe they lost some of the focus that keeps you fully disciplined. There were too many pre-snap penalties and other penalties that were avoidable. There were too many mistakes and busted assignments and things like that. And I mean among the starters. I mean in the first half. And I think that those things will need to be cleaned up. Now, is that something that I'm alarmed about? No. I think that happens sometimes. It's been a long, stressful season, and I think the guys, may have come into the game not as ready as they would have had this been San Diego State. So it's okay. And I don't mind it in the second half at all when the backups began to come in, because those are guys that haven't really played as much as maybe they would have hoped over the course of this season, because there have been so many close games. And it is critical to get them there. And I would consider those mistakes to be teaching moments of guys that are gaining experience that they'll need for next year. Overall, I'm happy with the game. Zach Wilson was able to come back and get his feet wet again. I think that the mistakes that were made, they were able to overcome. I think it was a great send-off for Senior Day. And while you can nitpick it from a standpoint of what they need to do better going forward, I think the things that they did well and what this game represented was a fitting send-off for these seniors, and I'm glad that they won this game.
Zach Wilson went 19 of 31, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 sacks allowed. What did you think of his performance for the first time in 7 weeks?
I thought he did well. I mean, he's not making any kind of an excuse that he was rusty, but he was rusty. And the thing about Zach is that, first and foremost, he's a baller. He feels it, and he lets it fly. And you got to get back into the rhythm of feeling it at game speed Plus, your body has to get back into the rhythm. I mean, he ran, I think it was down to the left side at one point, and kind of his legs, I think, gave out a little bit on him, and he ended up going down in a situation where I thought he would have continued on into the end zone otherwise. And that's
Turf
just
monster.
a matter of, what's that? Turf monster, that's right. That's just a matter of not being, fully up to game speed once again. So I thought it was a good return for Zach.
Is there any concern about that rust moving forward, knowing that BYU has UMass and then a tough one at San Diego State?
No, because, he got to shake off a lot of the rust in this game. UMass is a team that you don't want to sleep on. We've seen that happen before, but UMass is just terrible this year. So he'll be able to get up to speed. Now, it'll be a quantum leap forward in quality when they go to San Diego State. But I think 2 games like this will be plenty enough to get the rust shaken off. Because remember, it's I don't want to say it's like riding a bicycle, but there's a real familiarity. There's a muscle memory. There's an emotional memory to the way that Zach plays, which is, once again, go out there, see it, feel it, sling it. And I think 2 games is enough to get him ready to go to compete well against San Diego State.
Now, you'd think that UMass is better than Idaho State. Then the line will tell you otherwise. Idaho State was a 17-point dog to BYU. Yep. UMass is a 33.5-point dog to Idaho State. 39-point dog for UMass. 39.
Yeah, please censor that. Please censor that in the locker room. BYU should come out and handily win this game, but this is a team that needs to practice, that needs to groove the habit of being fully focused every minute, every drill, every meeting, every rep in the weight room, so that it shows up on game day. The coaches are teaching that. The coaches are coaching that. But, you're talking about young men here that are in the process of developing into the best college football players they can be. And that mental focus during preparation, they need to prepare the same way against UMass as they would if Utah were coming up again.
Trevor Matich of ESPN with us on BYU Sports Nation. The Cougars now bowl eligible. Trevor, what has been the biggest difference, in your opinion, between BYU as the 2-4 team that had just lost to Toledo and USF to now the team that beat Boise State, Utah State, Liberty, and Idaho State?
I think they're growing. I think they're growing. And I think the rotation at quarterback that had hurt them so badly in recent years when guys have gotten hurt, all of a sudden now you've got 3 guys that you've got to be really happy about. I mean, I'm happy with all 3 of them. And so I think that's a positive thing. I think that builds confidence to know that they can lose some guys to injury and they can still come out and play winning football. And I think part of it too is that the season early was brutally physical. I mean, brutally physical. I mean, early on, you're playing an SEC team that's been built to compete in the SEC. You've got Utah, which is one of the most physical teams in the nation. I mean, the way that the Utes are playing right now, they're playing at the line of scrimmage, from the line of scrimmage out, like a team that can compete with the best in college football. Not necessarily beat everybody, but a team that won't get pushed around. And that kind of physical depth, BYU had to open the season with. The 3rd game was USC. The 4th was Washington. And by the time they got to Toledo, I mean, that's kind of brutal. Now, I wouldn't want them to say this necessarily, but I'll say it because I'm not the one that's, in the locker room. I wouldn't want them to think of any excuses, and I have no knowledge that they are. As a matter of fact, it looks like they're not. But the fact is, you finish a 4-game stretch like that, then you lose to Toledo and USF on the road in the next 2 games. You're trying to get your legs back under you, for goodness sake. And I think that's a big part of it. So, but then they came back and they beat Boise State. Remember that part too. They lost at Toledo after the Washington game. They lost at USF, which was a head-scratcher. But then they came back and they beat Boise. And so I think they got themselves on track and their legs back under them by then.
Let's talk about the Pac-12. You talked about Utah a little bit there and BYU's schedule. Where do they fit in the college football playoff discussion? Because right now they feel like an outsider, but perhaps Oregon or Utah sneaks in late.
They could. Utah and Oregon right now, the winner of that game, assuming they both win out to the Pac-12 championship game, has a good chance, especially since Alabama now has lost Tua at quarterback. And the thing is, it will be probably the SEC and the Pac-12 only that will have a top 10 matchup in their conference championship game. Now, it's possible that the Big Ten could get there and do that as well, but it's most likely that while Alabama is sitting at home with a backup quarterback watching the Pac-12 championship game on TV and getting no extra juice from the committee, the winner of the Utah-Oregon game, again, assuming that they went out to that point, will end up having a top 10 victory to finish the season in the last impression on the committee when they make their final choices for the college football playoff. And so I think Utah's playing better. Utah has much more dominant, I think, resume right now in terms of how they're just handling opponents. Oregon has had a couple of close scares here recently, but Utah's loss at USC was rough, and people say that having Zach Moss, their great running back, out for much of that game should accrue to their favor, and that's true. But at the same time, USC had a backup quarterback as well.
Yes.
So it's kind of a wash when it comes to that. And the committee is big on how bad your loss is. Oregon's loss is at Auburn, it was against Auburn at a neutral site, but really that was by 3 inches. Auburn had a fourth down that they converted by 3 inches on what became the game-winning drive when Oregon had the lead. And if they had stopped them 3.5 inches shorter than they did, Oregon would be undefeated right now. And that loss is if a loss is a good one, that's a pretty good one. So I think when it comes down to it, the fact that Tua's out, the fact that Oregon has that good loss against Auburn puts them in the best position to get the Pac-12 into the playoff if they went out and look good against Utah in a win.
Trevor, as always, fantastic stuff. We will remember your recommendation to wear lots of sunscreen in Hawaii, and we won't make that mistake.
Yeah, please don't, because otherwise it will really be hilarious when you try to put your shirt back on.
You got it. Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks, guys.